Introduce myself. I'm Kate. I am one of the nutritionists at On Point. And if you don't know us, we are a Philadelphia-based virtual nutrition counseling company. So we work in with weight loss clients as well as nutrition education, disease management, kind of like all over the gamut with the nutrition world. So if you're looking to work with us and don't already, then after this, you can schedule a consultation with me or with one of my team members. So I also do client onboarding. So your consultation could be with me or with one of my coworkers. So we also have Florida, San Diego, Boston, so many people. So we don't have anybody. Oh, we have one Canadian, Chicago, Diamond from Chicago. We have two from Chicago. This is great. All right, so everybody got acquainted with the chat. So happy to see that. So we shouldn't have any issues here. So what we are going to go over tonight is vegetarian meal planning. So if another thing I'd like to know too is if is everybody in here an On Point Nutrition client for the most part? I'd like to know just so that I can get a gist of kind of like who's with us. But for anybody who's not, just to kind of like speak to a broader audience. One thing that is like a huge kind of like stressor can be, like figuring out how to plan for your week. So we talk about meal planning, there's a whole bunch of benefits to that. And one of the things is saving time. That's a huge benefit to meal planning. Saving money, that might not be something that you would think about. Saving calories. So if kind of like weight loss is something that you're looking for, planning your meals and planning ahead of time can help you with that. And then keeping your meals balanced. So planning your meals ahead of time and making a meal plan can help you with that. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you because I have a resource to show you. All right, so we have some people who are not clients, so welcome. Glad that you're joining us. Hang on, bear with me, technology. Again, just feel free to send any questions that pop up along the way. Okay, cool. As some people are getting our emails. It's good to know. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see my screen here. I'm kind of like editing it just so that you can see it. So everybody should be able to see my screen at this point. So this is kind of like some steps to, getting organized and kind of like, steps just in starting with meal planning. So where to start is the first step with any meal planning, and this doesn't even have to be vegetarian, is getting organized. So what I usually recommend is that people select a few recipes that you want to make for the week and think about how you want to fill your daily servings with food that you enjoy. So what I recommend is start filling in your meal planning guide. So what I'm going to be working with today is a sample of On Point Nutrition's meal planning guide. So what I'm going to be showing you is usually what we send to clients at the beginning of their program, which is showing them a sample of how they could break down their food and plan their weeks. So we don't expect people to follow these to a T. It's not a meal plan per se, but it's kind of a guide to show you how you could break down your week to make everything reasonably fit and work. So it's really interchangeable too. So anything that we put on a client's meal planning guide is totally interchangeable with another food from that food category. And that might make a little bit more sense when we kind of like fill this out together. I'm going to kind of like make one as a sample of, you know, some with some ideas that I've used in the past and show you how I kind of like do it from scratch for a client and like my thought process going through that. But usually kind of like the first thing that I do is select a few recipes, you know, that you would want to make for the week, and then how you're going to kind of like hit multiple food servings, you know, with the food that you like to eat, and start filling in your meal planning guide from there. So this will make more sense when we look at it next. Next would be to fill in the protein gap. So here we're talking about a vegetarian meal plan. So I'm not assuming that everybody in this webinar is a vegetarian, but I would think that, you know, everybody is probably like interested in that, maybe not. But one thing with vegetarians is we have a tendency to maybe be a little bit lower in protein. That's because, you know, we're usually avoiding protein. Sorry, one sec, we have the chat coming through. Okay, vegetarian. So that's because we're avoiding protein. So sometimes we tend to be a little bit lower with our protein intake just because we're avoiding meat. So what we would want to do is, after we kind of like go through and fill out your recipes and get your servings filled out, go back and just make sure that you hit and filled in, you know, to meet your protein target. So what I mean when I say target is, for On Point Nutrition clients, we allocate daily servings to our clients based on their needs. So whatever their needs are will depend on kind of like what their goals are. So that could be, again, weight loss, nutrition education. It could be a prenatal or a breastfeeding client. It could be disease management. So all across the board, a client's targets, daily targets, will be different. So their daily targets are based on macronutrients. So all of our food is coming from 3 macronutrients, which are carbohydrates, protein, and fat. And our food is, you know, broken down into those 3 macronutrients. So your daily targets are representative of those macronutrients. So you'll have daily targets for protein, carbohydrates, fat, dairy, vegetables, fruit, and you'll see that on the next thing that we look at as well. So what we do is we kind of break it down into daily targets for clients instead of calories and macros, even though we're kind of doing that on the back end. We want the focus to be more on food portioning and correct timing and quality of food. So we'll kind of look at the servings instead. So we'll go back and fill in the protein gaps to make sure that we're fulfilling that daily target. So what I'll usually recommend is select 2 to 3 protein options for the week, which you can buy in bulk and batch cook. So what I mean by that is, maybe you're gonna cook tofu, and you can do that on a sheet pan, and you can just cook either like 1 package or 2 at a time and have that already prepared for the week, or tempeh, whatever it is that your protein source is for the week. So you can either do it that way, or if you want to do veggie burgers, or whatever your protein option is that you want to have for the week. If you're pescatarian, maybe it's a fish. If you're not vegetarian, it could be chicken too, or whatever protein option it is that you want. So you use that prepped protein in multiple ways. So you might add that to salads, or you might add it in with rice or prepped starches, for instance. So when you have that batch cooked ingredient, you can just add it to other things that are already prepared as well. So it just makes it easier for you because it's already made and you don't have to do it later. So it saves time. So that goes back to one of the benefits of meal planning. Getting ahead of the game and setting aside time to meal plan, you know, you can menu prep for 1 day or for 7. So generally what I like to do, and what you'll see here on these, sample meal planning guides, is generally maybe plan 3 or 4 days and maybe repeat them. So personally, I'm the kind of person who can eat the same thing maybe for dinner a couple of nights in a row. And maybe if you like to eat the same thing for dinner, you can eat that same thing for lunch the next day. Or maybe you can eat the same thing for dinner like 3 nights in a row and make something new on the third night. So you can kind of play with your meal prepping and batch cooking and figure out when would be best for you to cook. Sometimes people like to cook on a Sunday and then on a Wednesday, midweek, make something new on that day. So you can kind of play around and figure out what day would work best for you to do your meal prepping. So you'll save time and stress, with your food choices during a busy week if you kind of like break it up that way and don't like feel like you have to do like a major meal prep on Sunday. You'll even sleep better, I think, knowing you're a little bit more prepared. Step 3 is pairing fruit with breakfast or snacks. So plan 1 serving with breakfast. Hello, smoothie. So that's a great way to get fruit in, is a smoothie. So you can either do like a smoothie in the morning and that will, fulfill some fruit servings, or if you like to have fruit as your snacks, you can save it for that. So you can plan your fruit with breakfast. It doesn't have to be a smoothie. It could also just accompany breakfast or in between your meals or as a snack. Choose a variety of vegetables. So if you're a person who has a hard time getting your vegetables in, plan to have those with your meals. So if you are struggling to get in your vegetables, just try to make it a goal to have 1 or more of those servings with your meals. So if you have 1 with lunch and 1 with dinner, you're already targeted to have 2 for the day, which is better than none. So if your daily target is 3 and you've had 2 out of 3, you can at least be consistent with that and try to work on getting that 3rd one in. So pairing your vegetables with meals, and then try to choose a variety of vegetables. So, trying to choose things that are vibrant in color. Choose plant-based starches that are higher in protein. So when we say plant-based starches, that's anything that really grows from the ground and is really single ingredient. So the only ingredient in the food is the food itself. That means, brown rice, oats, beans, legumes, bean pastas, starchy vegetables. The only ingredient in that food is the food. Corn would be a starchy vegetable. And then whole grains instead of refined processed carbohydrates. So plan those starches evenly throughout the day to stabilize your hunger and your cravings. And then the last tip is embrace your healthy fats. So choose unsaturated, good fats, including nuts, nut butters, avocados, seeds, and oils. So those are kind of like my 6 tips for vegetarian meal planning. So I saw there was a question come through. I'll just answer this quickly before I move on to the next step. Asking about recommended store-bought veggie burgers. So I'm not really sure what your question is exactly, Randy. What I will say is with veggie burgers specifically, what you want to look for is something that has at least 15 grams of protein. So the difference between, like a veggie burger that's made from vegetables, meaning, like if you get something that's made from like brown rice and beans, and like I've seen them made from like carrots and like really great ingredients, is great and probably delicious and full of nutrients, but sometimes they only have like 4 grams of protein. And I've had some of those patties and they're delicious, but they're really just mostly like veggies. So you want to make sure that you get something that probably has pea protein or is made from soy. So if you're somebody who's trying to avoid soy, you'll want to look for something that's made with pea protein, something that has at least 15 grams of protein. So If you're an On Point Nutrition client, anything that has 15 to 20 grams of protein, we know is a half a protein serving. So what you'll see on this meal planning guide a lot is that we are going to be adding up half protein servings to try to reach our target. And our target is going to be a little bit lower than a meat eating client because it's just a little bit harder for a vegetarian client to get 30% of their intake coming from protein, which is what the average kind of like meat eating client is projected to get. Is, you know, we do a breakdown of 30% of intake coming from protein, but for our vegetarian clients, we usually bump that down to 25%. So I hope that answers your question. The next question, live seasonally. How can you make sure you're getting the proper daily nutrients on a limited diet? So with that, I think that you kind of just have to follow and make sure that you're hitting all of your daily targets. If you're kind of like eating plant-based and choosing, you know, like eating a variety of fruits and vegetables that are coming from, different colors and eating, 2 to 3 servings of fruits and vegetables each day and eating about 2 protein servings a day, then I'm sure that you're kind of like getting enough nutrients. You'd be surprised how little protein you can get and still be adequate. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm getting all the questions. Smoothies lower in sugar. So the thing is like there's not really going to be any added sugar in smoothies unless you're adding in sugar in addition to fruit. Fruit is a natural source of sugar. So if you were to look at a nutrition label for berries, berries contain sugar, but it's natural sugar coming from berries. So there wouldn't be really any added sugar in a smoothie unless you were putting in like syrup or sometimes like fruit juice or something else in the smoothie that was adding sugar to it. So yes, somebody asked about like being a little bit higher in carbs on a vegetarian or vegan diet. Yes, so that kind of like goes back to what I was just saying about we do increase the vegetarian macronutrient to of the carbohydrate content to be a little bit higher and the protein to be a little bit lower because a lot of the plant-based proteins are great and a great way for you to get a protein in your diet, but it will also count as a starch portion. So you kind of like, and I have a couple examples of that and to show you how you can still stay within your starch range, but also get protein. So it's not necessarily that you're doomed to a high carb diet, but I think you have to be strategic about your protein sources. So I can show you a little bit how to do that on the next, when we do this meal planning. So these are great questions, guys. So again, this is kind of like meal planning is a great way to keep your meals balanced. If you pre-plan your meals, you're more likely to consume balanced meals. Pre-planning your meals ensures that you get that protein at your meals. Otherwise, especially for vegetarians and vegans, it's easy for us to overeat carbohydrates because if we're limited to not having proteins prepared or around or available to us, then it's easy for us to overeat carbs, right? So you're less likely to consume those balanced meals. So we want to make sure that we include foods from each food group, and that makes it more likely that you're going to include, and reach food from each of your targets. So like I was saying before, what I usually do is think about the groceries you have and think about, excuse me, the meals that you want to make and what you'll need and select a few recipes that you want to make for the week. So this is what a meal planning guide at On Point looks like. This is a blank one. So this is a blank canvas of what it would look like. So if we're kind of like starting from scratch, and I'm just going to fill this in for kind of like what a sample client might have. Oh, somebody raised their hand. Oh, okay. It's just saw it come through that you did it by accident. I wasn't sure what was going on there, if you needed help. Okay, so I'm just going to do this on kind of like what a sample client, what their daily servings might look like. So just keep that in mind that this is, everybody's daily servings are going to be different. All right. So again, for the average kind of like person and for the average kind of like vegetarian client, the protein is a little bit lower and the carb is a little bit higher. So I'm giving this example with a couple dairy servings, and there's a range here, just including some dairy, and the fat is a little bit higher as well. But this isn't necessarily like what everybody's servings would look like. That's based on your height, your weight, your activity level, and is tailored to you. So like I said, I usually like to think about some of the recipes or the things that I would like to eat for the week, or that the client that I'm making this for would like to eat. So I usually start with breakfast when I'm making a meal plan. I'm sure that everybody would probably like do this a little bit differently, but I think this is the easiest thing to do, is start with the things that you like to eat and work from there. Things that you have at home, think about what it is that you want to eat and go from there. So we know that we have 5 starches, okay? And maybe for breakfast, a good thing to have is bread, 2 slices of bread, right? So 2 slices of bread would be 2 starches. So S is starches, okay? So 2 slices, whoops. And we're just gonna give this example using whole wheat bread. Sorry, bear with me. I just wanna make this a little bit smaller so that it fits. And then maybe on the bread, I am also gonna include eggs in this meal planning guide, just so that I can show what getting protein with eggs would look like. So this is just for a vegetarian meal planning guide, not necessarily a vegan, excluding eggs or dairy. So showing you that 2 eggs would be half a protein. So 2 eggs. So we're gonna have 2 slices of bread, we're gonna have 2 eggs, and then maybe a fat serving. So I'm kind of thinking about, what would I like to eat? Or what would this person like to eat? 2 slices of bread, 2 eggs, a quarter of an avocado, right? And then we were talking about maybe having a fruit. There's 3 fruit servings. So we have to kind of like think about how we're going to spread those out and have them for the day. So 1 fruit. Okay. And the great thing is we can always go back and edit these later. Is everybody with me so far? Does anybody have any questions on how I just did that? So far for our day, we have 2 starches, half a protein, a fat, and a fruit. So this is a pretty balanced breakfast. We have something, we have some starches, we have a little bit of protein, fat, and a fruit. So for snack, I think a good snack could be a yogurt. This person likes to have Greek yogurt, and that could actually be a really good source of protein for a vegetarian. So I'm going to put that in here. And then trying to think of like something that we might want to have with the yogurt. Granola. Does that make sense? 1 starch and 1 fat. A quarter of a cup of granola would count as 1 starch and 1 fat. Everybody with me so far? So this is what I'm kind of do. So I have 2 starches so far, half a protein. So what I did was So far, I have half a protein in snack and I have half a protein in the breakfast. So far, this person already has one protein down for the day and they only need one more. And they have still, lunch, snack, and dinner left. So this is doable for sure. We just have to plan ahead. So you can see that this is, we're on track for a great day. We still have a bunch of food left and we have already had 2 meals. So for lunch, also too, if anybody has any ideas of anything you want to send through, feel free to do that. Or if you want to see like what a meal would look like on here. I was thinking of adding in some tofu or a veggie burger here as an example to get another half a protein serving. So when I say veggie burger, this kind of like circles back to what I was saying before about it being half a protein serving. So we want to make sure that that has 15 to 20 grams of protein in it, at least, in order to count as half a protein serving. So I want to have at least that, and then that'll count as half a protein. Does anybody know what we're missing so far? That I want to make sure that I add to my lunch. So we've got starches so far. Yeah, veggies. We don't have any veggies yet. So I'm going to go ahead and add 2 here. So that was kind of one of the things that I talked about on the initial slide was making sure that you pair, like 1 to 2 veggies with meals. So lunch is a great spot where we can do 2 here. We can have a salad. My idea here is that we can do a salad and have like a tofu or a veggie burger on top. So we're going to do lettuce. And I'm going to add 6 ounces of raw veggies on top. Excuse me. And then I'm thinking we should throw a starch in here too, just to make this a little bit more fulfilling. This could be anything. So again, these are always interchangeable. These can be whatever you want. So maybe this is chickpeas. Chickpeas on a salad are so good. Or it can be sweet potatoes, or it could be corn, it could be starchy vegetables, anything that you want. And then we need some more fat here too, because our goal is 5. So let's do some avocado. So half of an avocado would be 2 fat servings. So we have a nice salad for lunch. And that's a fulfilling salad. If anybody came to my salad webinar, we were talking about how to make your salads a little bit more filling. And that's adding protein, adding starch, adding fat. So this is a well-rounded lunch, a little bit more filling. All right, so for snack, this is a great spot, like we talked about, for a fruit. And a snack is a good opportunity and a fruit to pair a fat with that. And then this person eats dairy, so this is a good spot for us to add a dairy too. So I'm going to go ahead and do a fruit of an apple, 1 apple. And we'll do 1 fat. PB is peanut butter. 1 D, 1 dairy, 1 ounce of cheese. Is everybody with me so far? Does this make sense? So you kind of think about what you have at home and the things that you want to eat. So we know up here, these are all the things that you are trying to get in for your day. And you have to kind of like go through and think about, what it is that you want to eat. So for dinner, I think this is where, we want to throw in a recipe probably. Make it a little bit more exciting. So 1 tablespoon of peanut butter or almond butter is 1 fat. So with dinner, you know, this is a great spot where we can go back and check. So what we want to do is look, and we have 2 starches, right? We have a half a protein for the day. So this is where I go through, and if I'm making this for my client and I'm looking and I'm trying to figure out what I want to, give them an idea for dinner, or if this is myself, or if this is yourself, and thinking about what it is that you want to have for dinner. What is it that you still need to get in for the day? So take a walk back through your day and look. So we had half a protein at lunch, we had half a protein at snack, and we had half a protein at breakfast. That means we still need to get half a protein, okay? So let's put that down here then. We still need half a protein, right? Let's see. We've had 2 starches in the morning. We had a starch at snack, that gets us 3, if we add those up. We've had a starch at lunch, that gets us 4, and that's it. But our goal is 5, so we still need 1 more. Okay, 1 starch. So we know we need to have half a protein at dinner. We need to have a starch. And, well, we've only had 2 vegetable servings, and our goal is 3 to 4. But we're thinking about making this healthy vegetarian bean chili that we saw on the member portal. And that's half a protein, a starch, and 1 vegetable per serving. So we're going to make that. So then after dinner, we're feeling like maybe we might want a snack. And we do happen to have 1 fruit left. So we'll save, maybe we'll have some clementines. So what I like to do is just go back and spot check. So I had a fruit in the evening, a fruit for afternoon snack, and a fruit in the morning. So that equals 3. And that was my goal, 3. Protein. I had half a protein at dinner, half a protein at lunch, half a protein at morning snack, and half a protein at breakfast. That gets me 2. So to the question that somebody had earlier about kind of like making sure that you don't go overboard on starch, it can be done. We can get the protein in. We just have to be strategic about where we're putting it. We have to make a conscious effort to, like put that tofu or veggie burger with the salad, have the, Greek yogurt or eggs in the morning if you eat those kind of things. Like make sure that you have a protein with your dinner and not just eat pasta, for instance, because that's easy to do, but we just have to kind of like be aware of it and execute, that plan. And the veggies, we got 3 this day. The range of 3 or 4 is the goal, but maybe this was like a day that was a little lighter. So if this is something where you just want to repeat this and do this Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then maybe like switch up and change up the dinner, or maybe you want to then just have the vegetarian bean chili for lunch for a couple days, you can kind of like then just switch up the lunch. If you like this breakfast and you just want to keep that up, for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, that's an option too. So why don't we do this? Why don't we put this on Wednesday, and we'll make a new day for Tuesday. So let's give an example of another day. So let's do oats. Let's give an example of doing oats in the morning. So I think overnight oats is really easy to meal prep ahead of time. I know that this is something that On Point probably talks about all the time because I think everybody loves overnight oats and we have a lot of overnight oat recipes, but this is so great for meal prepping. You could even have these for lunch. So this is a great thing to kind of like prep ahead of time for lunch, for breakfast. So even if you wanted to like plan this for a couple mornings for breakfast, this is something that you could prep maybe like 3 days worth. So I would say 2 starches in the morning seems to be like a good rhythm, because if your goal is 5, you would probably want to like end up with 1 in the evening so that you don't do too much carb later in the day. So maybe doing 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon would be, like a good trend to do. So 2 starches in the morning of oats would be half a cup uncooked oats. Whoops. And then let's do 1 fruit with that. Let's do 1 cup of berries. And then we'll do 1 dairy. We'll count almond milk here as a dairy. We'll assume that the person is using like a 100-calorie or similar almond milk or oat milk or similar non-dairy milk. And they're going to add chia seeds to it. Change up the fat a little bit and not do too much nut butter, even though we all love nut butter. Okay, so we don't have any protein so far. So yesterday we had half a protein at this point. So today we're a little bit lower on the protein. So at this point, we'll just add in another. We want to make sure, that we are aware of that and add a half protein. So being aware of that, something that we could do is a smoothie. Protein powder, that's something that we haven't really talked about yet. That's a great way for vegetarians to get half a protein serving in. So 0.5 P, we'll go with a protein powder, and we'll do a smoothie. So we'll go with a protein smoothie recipe from the member portal. Somebody just asked a question about recipes for expecting mothers. Our whole recipe database is full of recipes for everybody. So you can kind of like search through there and find things that are vegetarian or vegan or dairy free, kind of like whatever it is that your tag would be. Not necessarily by expecting mothers, but you can search through there by whatever ingredient it is that you're looking for. And our database is pretty extensive. So there's a ton of resources in there for you. For lunch, I think, if you have, let's just say that this person prepped a whole bunch of tofu for the week, and I want to show you guys like an example of how you could just utilize that prepped protein for the week. So let's just say this person is going to use that prepped tofu, and we're going to, make, a wrap. Oh, just saw another question come through. Hold on. Sorry, I saw your question come through. Let me just finish this lunch. We're going to make a wrap with tofu instead of doing, like the same thing that we did before. I'm going to show you how you could utilize it in the same way, but just a little bit different, kind of like a variation of the same thing. So just because you batch cook ingredients doesn't mean you need to do exactly the same thing each day. So this is, let's just say we want to do the tofu. That'll count as half a protein. And then we want to get our 2 veggies in. So we still want to do the lettuce because this got us 2 veggie servings here. But maybe we don't want to do like the chickpeas again. Like we want to feel like we're eating a sandwich maybe. So we could put it on a tortilla because you just need to swap out the starch. So let's put it on a tortilla instead because it's more fun to eat. And then we'll still have the avocado. So like we just made a whole different lunch by just changing one thing and keeping everything else the same. So I just want to show you guys this example. Does this all make sense? Does this feel like something that everybody here could do if you kind of like sat down and took the time to do? Look, it's only taken us a half hour, not even. All right, so far we've only had one protein. So we really need to like make sure that we make up this other half protein between snack and dinner. So we want to make sure we have another half protein, right? So let's go with 2 hard-boiled eggs at the beginning of the week. Maybe on Saturday or Sunday, you could hard-boil some eggs for the week. And then we've had 2 starches in the morning. We had a starch in the lunch, and then we have 3 starches. I'm sorry, we have 2 starches left, but we don't want to do too much starch at dinner. So let's have a starch with our snack too. And we'll go with some crackers. We'll make a little snack plate. So that's my idea here. Let's make a snack plate. So that's what this is really going to be. So we're going to go with some crackers. Have a little snack plate while you work or watch reality TV. Okay, somebody had just asked if you're going to get a copy of this slide. So great question. I'm going to give you a copy of this and I'm going to have it completed for you so that you can see what a sample week would look like. And I'm also going to just finish this day up and give you guys a snapshot of the shopping list. We'll work on that slightly a little bit together. And then you'll also get a example of a sample shopping list too. So yeah, thanks for all coming. So when we get to the dinner, at this point, we all need another half a protein as we did the day before. What we want to just do is like run through and look at, we need another half protein now. We need another starch. We need another vegetable and we need another fat. So we want to kind of like look at what we've had for the day and figure out what we still need. Alternatively, if you were super excited about a recipe, you could put the recipe, you could like put your dinner in first and then work backward. So you could do it really like however you wanted. So to get another half protein, we're going to make cauliflower chickpea tikka masala, which is delicious. You just asked if Ezekiel bread is good to eat while pregnant. Ezekiel bread is good to eat all the time. It's a great bread, very good quality bread it's made from sprouted grains, not sprouted brains. Oh my gosh, don't eat sprouted brains while pregnant or ever, but made of sprouted grains. So there's no, like added ingredients to it. It's actually in the freezer section. So that's how fresh it is. Good luck in your pregnancy. Okay, so I'm just gonna put optional here for the snack. We like feel like we don't really need a snack. We ate all of our kind of like servings for the day and we're kind of full from dinner and we're good. So, and maybe we're gonna repeat this. We feel like we wanna repeat this again, like on Thursday, because we don't wanna do it 2 days in a row, but we feel like we might wanna do it on Thursday again. So what I'll do is kind of like, I don't want to take up the rest of the time doing this because I want to leave time for some more questions and show you guys maybe like how to build a shopping list. But this is kind of like how you build your meal plan. And it seems like everybody has a sense of how to do that. And of course, if you guys have any other, further questions about it down the road, please just let me know. But just take it step by step. We went over kind of like how to do that. And then also, think about what you want to eat for the week. Think about how you're going to fill your targets. Select 2 to 3 protein foods for the week. Select 4 to 5 starches for the week. A variety of fresh and frozen fruits and veggies. And then like pantry staples and fats. So we've got a couple of things filled in here so far. I think once you kind of like figure out what it is that you want to eat for the week, if this includes things that you don't have at home already, Then you have to build your shopping list. So then what you want to do is kind of like, maybe lay it out by food group, because generally these things tend to be in the same places in the store. So you just want to make sure that you kind of like group them all together, because it's easier to shop that way. So, we know that we were making tofu for the week. We want veggie burger. We want veggie burgers. We had bananas. We had clementines. We had tortillas. We had, what else did we have? Sweet potatoes. Oh yeah, eggs. Let's put them here. So kind of like go through here and build your shopping list in this way. Because I know that a lot of people have trouble building shopping lists, but don't overcomplicate it. Take it ingredient by, or food group by food group. Think about what it is from each food category that you want to eat for the week. And maybe you want to do this backwards. Maybe you want to start with the shopping list and think about what you want to eat that's protein for the week, what you want to eat that's fruit and vegetables for the week, what you want to eat that's starches, dairy, and then you want to build your meal plan. Okay, so maybe you want to do this before you build your meal plan. Maybe you want to build your meal plan and then do this. So that's up to you. But either way, it's all about just taking the time and getting organized. And you can see, I would say that this doesn't even really take an hour once you kind of like get going. We created 4 days of like a meal plan here, and it took us less than an hour. And we really only need like 3 more days. And again, like some of these can repeat. You can repeat these meals. Like we can, we're going to have leftovers from these dinners down here, and those will carry over. So you don't have to spend all day in the kitchen. You don't have to spend all day meal planning. I think sometimes we just get in our heads and think it's going to be too much. So just do a little bit of planning ahead and it'll be okay. Does anybody have any questions? There was a question I missed about not having snacks, like sticking to 2 to 3 meals a day. We don't really find too much success with that. We find that if clients wait too long to eat between meals, you'll kind of like run the risk of overeating when you do sit down to eat, and your body will actually kind of like hold on to your fat. Yeah, which will kind of like lead to stored fat, like what you had said, to answer your question. Does anybody have any questions related to like getting in protein or how to spread out your protein or your starches, or like directly related to meal planning itself? Eating every 3 to 4 hours is typically what we recommend as a team. So what we'll recommend is that clients eat within an hour of waking up, and then every 3 to 4 hours after that. So that's why we put these, we set the cadence of, breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, and then an evening snack if you feel like you need it. Or, meal 1, meal 2, whatever it is that you want to call it. Somebody asked if it's okay to have smoothies for 2 meals. I think it depends on kind of like what it is that you're putting in your smoothie. So if you're kind of like still eating within the ranges that you like have for your day, and you're still hitting like all of your nutrients, and you're still getting your protein and your starches, that's okay. If you're still kind of like reaching all of your intake. But I think one thing is to look at, is it because you like smoothies, or is it because it's easy, or do you need to try something new, or it's like, why is it that you're doing that? Okay, when you get all of your protein and veggies done through lunch, you're not sure what to eat later. I'm not sure what your question is there. You've eaten all of your protein and your vegetables for the day. Is that what you're saying? Okay, so you eat 2 protein servings and all of your vegetable servings by lunchtime. So I think you have to look at like what you've eaten for the day and what you still have. So it sounds like if you're eating all of your protein and your vegetables, you still have starch, fat, fruit left, dairy. So it does sound like you might need to work on spacing out your food a little bit better so that you can have protein and vegetables with dinner. Yeah. And then have, just balanced meals. So exactly what we just did, where you're having protein, starch, fat with your meals instead of like just protein and veggies all at one time. And then all you have left is carbs to eat at dinner. Think about that. Cool. Anybody else have any questions? I hope that this was helpful for everybody to kind of like see how we work behind the scenes to build all of our clients' meal planning guides, and how we figure out, where to put everything. And, sometimes we forget something, or figure out that we're missing something and go back and put it somewhere later. And if you are ever looking to, if your nutritionist or dietitian sent you one of these when you first started with On Point, and you're having trouble figuring out how to plan your meals or whatnot, there's blank ones of these on the On Point Nutrition member portal. And you can always do these on your own. Also, too, ask your dietitian or nutritionist to help you do one of these on a call. If, I had a client send me a list of stuff that she had in her home, and we did it on a call today, actually. Just went through and figured out stuff that she could make for this week. We did it together. So it's really effective if we can show you how to do it rather than having us do it for you, time after time. It's really effective if we can help you and teach you how. So ask your nutritionist or dietitian to help you do that. Somebody asked about intermittent fasting. Does that mean you should overeat during the meals to have proper nutrients? I would say that's one of kind of like the downfalls of intermittent fasting, is that you kind of have to like you said, overeat at the meals in order to get the things that you need in. You kind of like tend to overeat at your meals because you're fasting. So that's tough, is like your meals actually end up being a little bit larger so that you can fit everything in. So I would kind of like maybe reevaluate why you're doing the fasting and if that's working out for you. All right, so please, everybody, look out for an email, because you're going to get, like I said, a shopping list and completed meal planning guide with everything that we went over, and then also a completed week and the shopping list. So you're welcome, everybody. If anybody has questions, feel free to email me. Feel free to email your nutritionist or your dietitian. If you're not an On Point Nutrition client and you're interested in working with our team, please feel free to schedule a consultation with me. And next week, join my colleague, Morgan. She'll be showing you how to do a sample meal planning guide for planning your workouts, and how to do that around your workout routine and plan rest days. And it's going to be really informative. So join us next week. See you guys soon. Bye.